Welcome to 9 Mile Road, the official podcast of the Grand Lodge of Virginia, ancient, free, and accepted Masons. I'm your host, Worshipful Brother Jason Himsey. Each episode, we sit down with lodge leaders, scholars, and community guests to explore Masonic history, leadership, lodge best practices, and issues that matter to Masons, and to curious listeners beyond the craft. Whether you're a brother, a family member, or simply interested in what Freemasonry stands for, you're welcome here. Now, let's begin. Greetings, I'm Worshipful Brother Jason Himsey, and today on the 9 Mile Road podcast, I have with me Right Worshipful Gino Williams, who's been appointed by the Grand Master to be the liaison between the Grand Line and the Board of Directors for the Museum and Library here in the Grand Lodge of Virginia. And today we are meeting you here in the library. Right Worshipful.
Yes, sir.
What is the history of the museum and the library?
Well, the museum and library's been here for a while, but it has been mainly a collection facility as opposed to a display facility. Completely changed now, and it goes back 40 years, even though the records and the archives and the items in this lodge go back all the way to the beginning, back to 1778. And so we are a collection of archives and artifacts that transcend the history of Freemasonry in Virginia.
You know, I heard that we have a new curator. What can you tell me about her?
Well, we had a librarian curator here, Marie Barnett, who was here for about 40 years. She was connected originally to the Masonic home, spent her entire life and career basically working on this. Not a lot of assets spent by the Grand Lodge here. And when she retired, the Grand Line made a commitment through the Grand Master to hire a full-time curator, and Elizabeth Judd was hired. She has a tremendous amount of experience. And if you have been to the Grand Lodge Museum and Library before and now after Elizabeth is here, you'll find a considerable change in the way things are displayed, the interpretation and that sort of thing. And she has a tremendous experience, lots of contacts across the Commonwealth, and a lot of contacts within the museum community at large. So it's been a change. I think you can see that from the way the things are displayed in here now as opposed to where we were at before.
Definitely a beautiful touch. Just walking around, it's amazing. Every brother in Virginia should come check it out.
I think so. It's been fun, and there's always something new that's being discovered in the records and in the boxes and in storage, telling the story of Freemasonry in Virginia.
What would you say is the greatest need for the museum and library right now?
Well, ultimately, it's funding. We probably could use a second person here to free Liz up to do some grant writing and the kinds of things I think she can do. Volunteer docents would be great, and people that are interested in helping preserve the history of Freemasonry in Virginia. We treated this as started from ground zero. And in 12 months, she has changed the nature of the displays and what we're able to show in that history.
Great. How are the operations funded here in the library?
Well, the brethren have been paying 50 cents of their dues as a contribution towards what we spend. There's been other money spent. There's been donations. Obviously, there's been a dues increase that will go into effect that will help fund this, basically covering Liz's position. Okay. There is a little bit of money, but we're going to be actively raising funds, both through grants and eventually looking for perhaps somebody that wants to put their name on the museum and endow the material here.
Tell me, Right Worshipful, what is your favorite artifact or item here in the museum?
There's a bunch of them. From the John Dove material to the cornerstone or the brick from the White House, the Roy Clark material. One of the Grand Masters particularly likes the Wooten desk that's back there that the Grand Secretary used. So there's a whole lot of items here.
I could see how it would be a struggle just walking around the museum. There's a lot of neat and unique pieces here that are part of our fraternity. Right Worshipful, so are there any specific pieces here in the museum that are missing that you might need help locating?
Brother Leonard Rowe would be yelling at me if I didn't talk about it. We've got missing portraits of Grand Masters from basically around the War of 1812. There were originally 15 of them missing. Brother Rowe has come up with 5 of those, and so we've got these gaps, and it would be nice to fill those portraits in. You know, these were all prominent people in Virginia, and so we think they're out there. They may have actually been removed from the Grand Lodge around the time the British were coming up to Chesapeake, and may have been stored somewhere, but it would be good to fill those in. That's something that he's working on, and I think it would be good to take care of if we could do that.
Great. And finally, what do you see as the future of the museum and library?
Well, you know, obviously we want to continue to collect the artifacts and make sure that the story of Freemasonry is available here. We want to be able to go on the road with it to the lodges as they're celebrating anniversaries or having special programs where we can package up a box of material that's directed to that lodge or that particular area, and we can put some of that on the road so the brethren can be sharing it out there in the rest of Virginia, so that they don't have to come here for all of it, even though we recommend, particularly on Family Day, they come down and enjoy a lot of that part of it.
Well, that's a great idea, Right Worshipful. And if I could just make a plug for the museum with the brethren, particularly the brethren here in Virginia. If you know of any artifacts in your collections, in your lodges, that you feel merit being held in perpetuity to honor the craft, certainly reach out to Right Worshipful Williams here and see if there's a place for it here.
Yeah, one of the things too is that one of the things we want to do as we go forward is to be able to help lodges with restoration information, identifying things that are important. I mean, we stumble on things here all the time. That's one of the things that Liz and the Grand Secretary are constantly letting me know they found something, because they know I'm very interested in that part of it. And we never know what important thing is here. There is a particular piece here that was in the collection and displayed for years in a corner. And those who had been here before would remember we had a set of dishes from Fairfax Lodge. Pretty neat, you know, in terms of that part of it. But in the corner of that display, there was this little portrait, a pencil sketch of Washington going to lay the cornerstone when he was marching with Alexander Lodge 22 to lay the cornerstone of the Capitol. And it is a Benjamin Latrobe piece, who was, of course, the architect of the Capitol. And it was just sitting in there. And you know, we stumble on things. Some of it is just we've got so many things we don't know all the history of it. And like I said, we can use volunteers in here to docent and free Liz up to do some things that we need her to do, grant writing and the kinds of things that we haven't been able to do to this point.
Well, thank you, Right Worshipful. I appreciate your time and for sharing the museum with the fraternity and with the public.
Absolutely. We look forward to seeing you here.
All right. Well, that concludes this episode of the 9 Mile Road podcast. Hope you enjoyed it. Thank you for joining us on this episode of 9 Mile Road, the official podcast of the Grand Lodge of Virginia, ancient, free, and accepted Masons. If you have questions about this episode, or if you're interested in learning more about Freemasonry, please visit the Grand Lodge of Virginia online at www.grandlodgeofvirginia.org or explore www.beafreemason.org and complete the I'm Interested form. Until next time, thank you for listening and travel safely.